Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to make a statement that might shock you. In your golden years, when the body slows down and the mind can feel like it's losing touch, there's a profound strategy you might want to adopt. And that strategy is this: pretend to be stupid, but only in specific situations, only when it's beneficial. Now, let me clarify right away, this isn't about deception or dishonesty, far from it. It's about playing the game of life with strategic wisdom, knowing that sometimes humility in the face of complexity can offer you far more than brute intelligence. And it's about recognizing the immense value in maintaining a bit of mystery about yourself, especially when people often expect you to have all the answers. Engaging in arguments with younger generations can often feel like an uphill battle. They come armed with new ideas, theories, and an unshakable confidence in their worldview. It's easy to want to correct them, to step in with the weight of experience and set things straight, but often this approach only leads to resistance. Younger minds tend to reject authority outright if they feel they are being lectured. Instead of engaging in a direct battle of intellect, a wiser approach is to take a step back and play the role of the student rather than the teacher. By pretending to be less informed, you create space for them to explain their thoughts fully. You allow them to feel heard and validated, which is often all they are really seeking. In this process, they may even begin to notice the inconsistencies in their own arguments. There is nothing more humbling than hearing yourself speak and realizing that your own reasoning is incomplete. If you argue head-on, they will only dig in their heels, convinced that they are defending a righteous cause. But if you listen, ask questions, and allow them to reach their own conclusions, you give them a chance to reflect more deeply. This approach is not about manipulation, but about wisdom. Young people do not learn by being told they are wrong. They learn through experience, trial, and error. The role of the elder is not to crush their confidence, but to subtly guide it. By pretending to know less, you paradoxically position yourself as someone they trust, someone they will turn to when they finally realize they need guidance. This is how true influence is built, not through authority, but through patience, restraint, and the quiet power of wisdom. Society is constantly evolving, and with it come new trends, new expectations, and an unrelenting pressure to keep up. Whether it's political correctness, social norms, or the latest cultural movements, there's often an unspoken demand to conform, to voice the right opinions, and to stay relevant. As people age, they can feel this pressure even more intensely. The fear of becoming outdated or irrelevant can push them to engage in conversations they don't fully agree with, or to adopt perspectives they don't entirely understand. But there is a different, more powerful approach. Pretend to be ignorant. This does not mean disengaging from the world or rejecting new ideas outright. It means strategically choosing when to engage and when to let things pass. If a conversation is filled with fleeting trends and reactionary opinions, staying silent or feigning ignorance can be an act of quiet defiance. It allows you to observe rather than be pulled into unnecessary conflict. It protects your peace of mind while giving you the power to decide when your voice truly needs to be heard. Moreover, pretending not to fully grasp certain social expectations can sometimes expose their contradictions. When people feel the need to explain why you should think a certain way, they may begin to see the flaws in their own reasoning. Often, the strongest ideas do not need to be aggressively defended. Stand on their own merit. By appearing uninformed, you encourage others to articulate their beliefs more clearly, and in doing so, they may come to new realizations. Wisdom is knowing that not every battle is worth fighting. By selectively stepping back and choosing when to engage, you maintain both your independence of thought and your ability to see the larger picture. Sometimes, the smartest move is to appear as though you don't know much at all. The rapid advancement of technology has created a world where new devices, applications, and digital systems emerge almost daily. For many older individuals, this constant evolution can feel overwhelming. Younger generations, having grown up in a digital landscape, often assume that everyone should be able to adapt just as quickly. There is an unspoken expectation that technological literacy is not just beneficial, but mandatory. However, there is a strategic advantage in pretending to be less capable than you truly are when it comes to new technology. One of the primary benefits of this approach is that it prevents unnecessary stress. Not every piece of technology needs to be mastered. Many new innovations exist more for convenience than necessity, and blindly adopting every new gadget or platform can create unnecessary cognitive overload. Feigning ignorance allows you to sidestep the pressure of keeping up with every passing trend and focus only on what is truly useful. Additionally, appearing technologically inept can shift the burden onto those who are more eager to engage with it. Family members, younger colleagues, or even customer service representatives are often more willing to assist when they believe they are helping someone who lacks technical expertise. This is not about manipulation, but rather about allowing others to take on the complexity that they naturally gravitate toward. At times, playing the role of the novice can even deepen relationships, as younger individuals feel valued when they can offer guidance. There is no shame in selectively opting out of the technological race. True wisdom lies in knowing what is worth learning and what can be left behind. By strategically pretending to struggle with certain aspects of technology, you create space for a simpler, more intentional way of living. One where you control the technology you use, rather than letting it control you. In a professional environment, especially for those who've accumulated years of experience, there is often an expectation to always have the answers, whether as a senior employee, a consultant, or a mentor. People assume that wisdom automatically translates to immediate solutions. While it may be tempting to step in and solve problems as they arise, this can sometimes create more issues than it resolves. There is a profound advantage in strategically pretending to be less knowledgeable than you actually are in certain work situations. One key benefit is that it encourages others to think for themselves. If you always provide the answer, those around you never develop the skills to solve problems independently. By holding back and appearing unsure, you give others the opportunity to step up, take ownership, and sharpen their own problem-solving abilities. This is especially important in leadership positions, where true influence is not about micromanagement, but about fostering the growth of others. Furthermore, appearing uninformed can reveal valuable insights about the people around you. When you don't immediately offer solutions, you can observe how others respond under pressure. You see who is resourceful, who is willing to take initiative, and who struggles without guidance. This knowledge is invaluable in understanding team dynamics and identifying the real problem solvers within a group. Finally, playing the role of the student rather than the expert can help maintain humility and adaptability. The workplace is constantly evolving, and clinging too tightly to past expertise can create blind spots. By occasionally feigning ignorance, you invite fresh perspectives and allow room for new ideas to emerge. Sometimes the best way to lead is to step back, let others take the reins, and embrace the power of not always knowing. As people age, they often struggle with the idea of letting go. For decades, they have made decisions, offered guidance, and taken responsibility for their families, careers, and communities. This creates a deep-seated habit of control, one that can be difficult to break even when it is no longer necessary. However, there comes a point when the wisest course of action is to step back and allow others to take charge. Pretending to be less capable or uninformed in certain situations can be a powerful way to facilitate this transition. One of the greatest benefits of relinquishing control is that it allows younger individuals to develop their own confidence and decision-making abilities. If an older person insists on always having the final say, their children, grandchildren, or younger colleagues may remain overly dependent, never fully learning to navigate life on their own. By stepping aside and appearing less involved, space is created for growth, independence, and personal responsibility. Letting go also removes a significant burden. Holding on to control requires constant mental and emotional energy, often leading to stress and frustration when things do not go as planned. By pretending not to know, or by choosing not to intervene, peace of mind can be preserved. Life becomes less about ensuring everything is done correctly and more about enjoying the present moment. This approach also strengthens relationships. When people feel trusted to make their own decisions, they are more likely to seek guidance out of genuine respect rather than obligation. Influence becomes more profound when it is not forced but freely given. In the end, pretending to be less in control is not a sign of weakness, but of wisdom. The wisdom to recognize that true leadership sometimes means knowing when to step aside. Dealing with bureaucracy, whether in government offices, healthcare systems, financial institutions, or corporate structures, can be exhausting. These systems are often rigid, impersonal, and unnecessarily complex. For older individuals, the expectation is that they should navigate these processes efficiently, but the reality is that bureaucracy is designed to be difficult for everyone, regardless of intelligence or experience. In these situations, pretending to be uninformed or confused can actually work as an advantage. When people present themselves as highly competent, they are often expected to handle things on their own, given fewer explanations, and met with less patience. However, when someone appears uncertain or overwhelmed, bureaucratic workers and customer service representatives are more likely to step in, offer assistance, and explain things in greater detail. By strategically displaying a lack of understanding, it becomes possible to receive better guidance, more thorough explanations, and sometimes even exceptions to frustrating rules. Another advantage of this approach is that it exposes weaknesses in the system itself. When asking simple questions and receiving convoluted answers, it becomes clear how inefficient and illogical certain processes truly are. Sometimes this prompts the people within the system to rethink their approach, making them more likely to offer alternative solutions. Bureaucracy often thrives on people accepting its complexity without question, but appearing uninformed forces those within the system to justify their procedures in a way that can lead to better outcomes. Ultimately, pretending to struggle with bureaucracy is not about dishonesty, but about navigating a flawed system with strategic wisdom. Instead of battling frustration, stepping back and allowing others to take on the burden of explanation can make these encounters smoother, less stressful, and, at times, even beneficial. In a world where bureaucracy is often unavoidable, knowing how to work within its inefficiencies is a skill worth mastering. In personal relationships, there is often an unspoken pressure to always be right, to offer wisdom, and to take on the role of the knowledgeable one. As people age, this expectation becomes even stronger. Friends, family members, and partners may look to them for guidance, assuming that experience has given them all the answers. While this can be fulfilling at times, it can also create distance, making interactions feel more like lessons than genuine connections. Sometimes, the most effective way to maintain closeness in relationships is to pretend to know less than you actually do. When people feel like they are constantly being corrected or outmatched in knowledge, they may withdraw or hesitate to share their own thoughts. They may feel as though they are being judged rather than understood. By appearing less certain, asking simple questions, or allowing others to explain things, even when the answers are obvious, you create space for them to feel valued and respected. This can strengthen relationships, fostering a dynamic based on mutual appreciation rather than authority. This approach is also useful in maintaining a sense of playfulness and lightness. A rigid insistence on always being right can drain the joy from conversations, whereas allowing room for humor, curiosity, and even a little feigned ignorance can make interactions feel more engaging and enjoyable. People are drawn to those who make them feel at ease, not those who constantly remind them of how much they don't know. At its core, pretending to be less knowledgeable in personal relationships is not about deception, but about deepening human connection. It allows for better conversations, more laughter, and a dynamic where both people feel seen and heard. True wisdom is not just about knowing. It is about knowing when to step back and let others shine.